Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the patch details for the April mid-month update and also the second wave of anniversary events. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into the video. Now let's start with the 428 patch details. Now it always starts with the greetings and all. You can read it if you got time. Now the update is not going to feature a downtime maintenance. Basically, you can close the game, download the patch, open the game again, and then you can play with it as always. And then there will be two new uniforms. First one is Luna Snow Mira 99. With this uniform, she's gonna be a superhero speed female characters as always, and her uniform is gonna cost 875 crystals in the special anniversary discount. She has abilities of leadership and cold-blooded. Now her uniform effect features 20% cold regis, 25% cold damage, and 20% decrease of basic damage received, which is exactly the same from the last uniform, except for it had only 10% decrease on basic damage received, which does not really matter on the PvE space that much, and she is definitely not gonna be a PvP character. Now moving on to her skills, first one featured here is the ultimate skill, and mind you, this is not changed at all. Not a single percentage of it is changed. Only thing that is changed here is the name of the skill, and it is gonna apply chill and freeze to the enemies, which deals 50% cold damage and decreases enemies speed by 10%. For herself, she recovers 15% HP, ignore targets dot rate by 80%, and 80% chance to penetrate with super armor, barrier shield, all damage immune, and effect. And she accumulates 10% pure damage while attacking, which can go up to 100%. Every time she accumulates 1% of pure damage, she's gonna increase her all basic attack by 1.2% and also deals 115% cold damage of energy attack. Now her tier 2 passive is not changed at all. It was exactly the same in the last uniform, and it will be exactly the same in this uniform as well. Now her other passive is also gonna be exactly the same, increasing all basic attacks by 30%, basic defense by 10%, and speed by 5%. So there's also no change. Now let's talk about the active skills. Her first active skill applies a chill, freeze, and snare to the enemies, dealing 30% cold damage and decreasing all speed by 10%, and dealing 110% of cold damage of the energy attack. Now her second skill is not changed at all. She has B-pad and applies freeze and fracture to the enemies, also dealing 130% of energy attack as cold damage, and that is exactly the same. And a third active skill also does not really change anything except swapping up a little bit of skills for lance battle. It applies chill, freeze, silence to enemies, dealing 30% cold damage and 65% of cold damage of energy attack. And her fourth skill also does not change much. It applies paralysis to the enemies and also decreases the cold resist by 5%, which can go up to 35%, and also ignore the immunity of the enemies. Now the skill that was added to the first active skill here, which is this chill, used to be in the fourth skill, and they removed it from here and added to the first skill. Remember, nothing is added to the kit, it's just have been swapped from here to there. And she applies recovery of HP by 25% and 100% chance to grant all damage immunity to herself, and dealing 53% of cold damage of the energy attack. And moving on to the fifth skill, it is also exactly the same, applying chill, stun, and freeze to the enemies and to herself, recovering 25% of HP and increasing all basic attacks by 20% and 80% cold damage of the energy attack. Now there's literally nothing new in these skills, and even the cooldown duration of these skills are exactly the same as the last uniform. So it could be the case like Ghost Rider, where there is not really much change between the characters. They just removed the character from the seasonal pool. Now everyone can experience the character, but nothing really is changed in the uniform. But comparatively, this looks bad than Ghost Rider, since Ghost Rider was comparatively better for PvP game modes. Now we'll have to wait and see how much damage does it deal, and then we'll decide either this character is better or good. But still, getting out of seasonal pool is still a win. So this could exactly be same as her last uniform, just like all of the other character featured in this update, and we'll see about that. But as of now, there's not really anything that it changed in the uniform effects. Now let's talk about Moon Knight, Blood Moon Knight. Now he is a speed type character from combat superhero. He's now a speed superhero, and that gives him a little bit of value because there is a day in ABX or ABL, I don't remember correctly, where you need a speed hero character, where I am using Miles Morales, and there are not really that many characters that could help you do that. So Moon Knight could be one option in there. So he's gonna be a speed superhero, and it cost 875 crystals for his uniform, and he has abilities such as Weapon Master and Leadership. I believe it was the ability in the last uniform as well. And his allied gender and instinct are also gonna be same as before, and his uniform effect is also pretty much same like Luna. There's not really anything that it changed except for the 5% basic damage dealt increase to boss type, but unlike Luna, it is actually useful considering the nature of the character. His change skill, the first skill that is listed in here, is the Awakened skill, and it is again exactly same as before. Nothing really have been changed in here in terms of the stat, but it says the number of attacks have been increased compared to the previous skill. So we'll have to wait and see in game in order to see how big of a change is that. Now his tier 2 passive increases his all basic attacks by 20%. It used to be a weird recovery skill. It is better now since he's a PvE character. It is a win, and his another passive is gonna give you guard break immunity and also decrease basic damage received by 35%, which is exactly same as before. Now talking about his active skill, his first skill is gonna decrease all speed of the enemies by 15% and apply fracture to them, and deals 75% of physical damage of your physical attack. And now there is not really much changes in here as well. Now his second ability applies bleed, silence, and paralysis to enemies, dealing 50% damage every 1 second, which also removes the elasticity, which is a little bit better than his last second skill. Now his third skill applies snare to the enemies and increases all basic attacks and defenses by 50%, all speed by 15%, and crit rate by 15%, and also remove incapacitations for himself. So this third skill is clearly better than the last third skill he had. Now the fourth skill deals burn to the enemies 50% of flame damage every 1 second. He used to have burn in his third skill, now he has this in the fourth skill. And he also recovers 30% of his HP with the fourth skill. Now his fifth active skill is gonna deal bleed to the enemies, dealing 50% damage every single second and applying to himself and increasing basic damage by 60%. Now he used to have this skill of increasing basic damage, defense, speed, and crit rate in his fifth skill before. Now he has this in the third skill, and the numbers are increased significantly in here. He used to deal only 10% before, it is now 50%, so there's a lot of improvement for this character. Even though there's no new skill set and abilities, it is swapped, but it is not as bad as Luna Snow's condition. Now he looks pretty better in the paper, but there's a catch in here. There was kind of a leak, you can say, about Moon Knight in game, or you can say it is a bug rather than a leak, which revealed all of his skills in game, and his bugged or leaked version is different than it is in this patch details, and many people are not happy because in his tier 2 passive he has guaranteed crit rate of 15% and ignore targets dodge rate by 40%, and that one is better for ABX content or ABL content. So this all basic attacks by 20% is a little bit downgraded version of that bugged uniform or leaked uniform, whatever you can call it. Maybe Moon Knight was a little too powerful, we don't know about that, but we are not getting that version. It's a little bit changed. But it's not just that decrease. Actually, they increased other numbers for the active skill. For example, they have increased it to 15% from the 5% which is listed in the in-game bugged version, and they have also increased it to 50% from the 10% which is listing in the bugged version of the uniform. So it is overall a better change in here, but some things look pretty fishy since that uniform was not the final one as we can see it here. there's not really any point talking about that. We have to wait for tomorrow to see how good Moon Knight is gonna be. But I'm pretty much impressed with the tweaks in his numbers here. Now let's move on to new uniform collection. This uniform collection is gonna give you 180 carbonadium, which is not really that bad, considering other uniform option gives you 300 phoenix feather or something like that. Now there are some product information. Now there is gonna be the change for the world boss upgrade pack. You just simply have to do like 70 world boss mission every day for like 15 days or something, and you are gonna receive the free tier of reward from here. And if you upgrade the pack, you are gonna receive the other tier of the reward. There have been some tweaks in here as well, some increment on the reward. Now this is it for the patch details. I am really not sure if Luna Snow is gonna be that good as of now, because her uniform was so old. It all depends on how good of a damage she could deal. Now let's move on to the events and sales that we are getting with this update. Now the one that I want to talk about is not all of these community events are not really worth. The rewards are still very bad after all these years. So we are gonna have the 8-week check-in event and also 11 incredible years we embark on a new journey second play event. Let's have a look at this event, and this is the most important for free to play and even paying players. Now the first event that we have is growth bonus mission. As always, we are gonna get this with the new update, new uniforms. So this is it. And the world boss mission event, the one that was in the patch details just a minute ago. So this is gonna be the rewards and missions that you have to do. You just simply need to do the world boss every day. That's it. That's all you need to do. And there are 2 tiers of reward. First one is normal, second one is upgrade. First one is free, for second one you have to pay. So that's about it. And third event that we are getting is the ranked battle. There's no need to explain this one. You just simply need to participate in the ranked battle and you will receive crystal reward depending on the rank that you will finish. Fourth one is surprise adamantium gift chest. If you are lucky, you are gonna receive 50 of tier 4 materials, I guess. Yeah, so log into the game to receive that. And 11th year anniversary agent training center. So this is the most exciting event in here. It was introduced last year during the 10th year anniversary event. It gives you bunch of rewards. It's one of the best event in game. You can check out this last video that I made on the event, but I'll also be making a new guide for this event whenever it goes live in game, so stay tuned for that as well. This event gives you so many good rewards. There will be different tiers of rewards for veteran and new apprentice agents. These are the rewards as you can see here in the screen. I'm not going to explain everything in here, and there will be different tiers as I have already mentioned, depending on what type of player you are, how many points that you have accumulated, and daily mission rewards as well, and which will include tier 3, tier 2 and tier 4 rewards in here. I'll be explaining it in detail later on. So this is it for the events and the update patch details. Tell me your thoughts into the comments about the characters that are getting new uniforms, and also how you feel about this 11th year anniversary agent training center event which is returning. I guess it is very cool. Tell me your thoughts and I will see you in the next one.